Are you looking for a magazine that can provide engaging and educational articles, purposeful and impactful advertising, and complete dedication to the Western New York community? Then you want Buffalo Healthy Living magazine. With over 200,000 print readers and over 35,000 digital readers, Buffalo Healthy Living is Western New York's largest free healthy living magazine for people of all ages. Focusing on health, fitness, nutrition, environment, business, and community, Buffalo Healthy Living is dedicated to providing well-written and timely articles and healthy tips to support a healthy lifestyle. Embracing the highest standards of corporate purpose, accountability, and transparency, Buffalo Healthy Living offers a positive social and environmental impact. Proud to be Western New York's premier free magazine for people of all ages, Buffalo Healthy Living writes about the topics that matter most to its readers. Find it at every area Wegmans and Tops, along with thousands of other locations throughout all 8 counties of Western New York. Interested in advertising? Contact 716-204-8881. Visit buffalohealthyliving.com or follow on Facebook and Twitter. Enjoy a healthier life with Buffalo Healthy Living magazine.
Here's another reason to listen to Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Lauren Lewis.
You guys every week are able to deliver content that is not only pertinent to our Western New York community, but businesses across the country. And it's not just one-off, it's every single week.
That's according to Mario Rodriguez from Forsetti Protection. Just another reason to listen to the show that's dedicated to sports, jobs, economic development, and the people who make it happen. That's Western New York at Work, 10 till 10:30 a.m. Sundays.
Welcome to Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Lauren Lewis. Join in on the conversation about sports, jobs, economic development, and the people who make it all happen. If you're interested in growing your business, understanding the latest trends in and around Western New York, then join the discussion at 803-1520. Now, here's Dale Martin and Lauren Lewis.
Good morning, Buffalo. Welcome to Western New York at Work, your business-friendly conversation live here at ESPN 1520 AM, where we talk about sports, jobs, economic development, and always the people that make it happen. That's a mouthful, but I can say it by heart now.
I know. It's our routine. We say it every single week. It's what we're all about, and it's who we are as Western New York at Work. I think it sums it up perfectly.
That's right. And also, each and every Sunday, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Lauren Lewis. So, Lauren, again, good morning, and how are you today?
Good morning. I'm great, Dale. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
very good.
Yes, I'm doing good.
Good.
And I'm so excited about today's conversation because it's our new segment where we're going to talk about insurance best practices, and we're going to expose a lot of information out to our public. And I'm happy to say that it's one of our exciting new theme shows that we're going to do each and every month. So for our listeners out there that tune into us on a regular basis, you too will be excited because Lauren and I, we continue to bring you the best of the best topics. And so I'm just so happy to introduce, the good works that we do here.
Yeah, and it's actually so funny you say that about, another theme to our show, because I was having coffee the other day with someone, and she was asking me more about Western New York at Work, and asked about, hey, is there a theme to your show? Do you have theme weeks? And I was really excited to tell her we do have that. We have, we have real estate, we have insurance. We're going to have the Buffalo Niagara Human Resources Association doing our HR theme. We keep evolving and growing, but we do have those week-to-week shows that are just really dedicated to an individual and their company or their business. So, I think it's great that we have these things. I'm excited about, our insurance theme coming up because it's so important that you're protected.
Yes. And with that being said, normally I would say this person doesn't really require any introduction, but she does. And I'm talking about the one and only Buffalo native, Marcia Brogan from the Marcia Brogan Agency. Now, this woman has really been a pillar in our community, been in business for over 35 years. And Marcia, I'm just going to say welcome and thank you so much for helping us launch this new insurance concept.
Dale, thank you so much. I'm so excited about this, being part of this talk show. It's the first time I've been part of a talk show, and I'm super excited. And I really would like to take this moment to introduce my dear friend who's with us today, Lisa Coppola. Lisa Coppola is from the Coppola firm and the English Gardener. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, Marcia. Just delighted to be here to talk about insurance nightmares.
Okay.
What a good combo, too. We have the insurance and the legal side of it that go so hand in hand together, and that's why it's important that we're all protected to make sure.
That's right. And one
we don't
thing
have any
about
lawsuits.
And one thing about Lisa is Lisa wears dual hats. Not only is she the owner of the Coppola firm, she's also owner of the English Gardener. So she represents attorneys, and she also understands what it's like as a business owner. So Lisa and I chat many a time about different things that happen in the workplace, and one of the things that Lisa and I have talked endlessly about are slip and falls. Now, Lisa, you know, on television you can see numerous commercials, and they're all about slips and falls. And many people think, oh, it's not going to happen to me. What's your thoughts on that?
I think people say all the time, it's somebody else who features that sort of problem. But whether you're a homeowner, whether you're a renter, whether you're a business person, and whether you own the property or you rent the property, you've got to be protected because slips and falls happen all the time for so many different reasons.
Well, I'm going to just give a brief example of a slip and fall that happened. And it was for a business owner, and they had tenants. And one of the tenants happened to slip on a little piece of black ice. The whole yard, the whole driveway was plowed except for that little piece of black ice. She slipped and fell, had to go in, have surgery, and it could have turned into an insurance nightmare had they not had the right insurance. Do you agree with something like that?
Absolutely. And whether somebody's injured for the first time in that slip and fall or they already have some sort of a pre-existing condition, when that lawsuit is brought, they talk about aggravation of the previous injury, and they can recover for that too. So it's really important to have that coverage.
So to make sure, people really should look at their liability limits to make sure that they have ample liability limits. Most people have like $300,000 or $1 million, and the difference in pricing between $300,000, $500,000, and $1 million is really minuscule when it comes to the fact that defense is included in this and attorney fees. Do you agree?
Absolutely. One of the things that I see as an attorney is even if a claim is not the fault of the homeowner or the property owner, ultimately that person or that company has to defend the lawsuit. And lawyers are not inexpensive. And right?
That's correct. That's correct.
As much as we think of insurance as being there to cover us in the event we have to pay, it's also there to provide the cost of the attorney so that that business person or the homeowner doesn't have to pay out of pocket.
You're right. Now, here's another example. These are real-life examples. Somebody owned a business, and a customer walked in. And you know how you have the signs that say slippery, be careful where you walk? Well, they were on crutches, and they fell.
Oh, my.
And they severely injured them. They were already injured walking in. Now they fell. They re-injured it. Even though that sign says slippery when wet, the business owner is still responsible, correct?
Absolutely. Business owners, property owners, and people who have control over property have to exercise what we lawyers call reasonable care. And so that if there was a patch of wetness or slipperiness, they have an obligation to clean it up. That's why we see in retail establishments often a list in the restroom of when somebody checked the restroom for cleanliness.
I see. There you go.
It's not necessarily to make sure it's clean.
Right.
It's to provide evidence that they were exercising reasonable care in going in.
I never thought of it that way. I've always seen, I thought, oh, they're really in tune and they're cleaning, but I'm going to look at that a whole different way now when I go into that restroom.
So, ladies, let's talk a little bit about the importance behind it. Obviously, there's a lot of scenarios, especially in Western New York in the wintertime, where there's the black ice,
Right.
There's slush, the floors are wet. When you're walking into a store, what is the importance of insurance, and why should someone have it?
Well, if somebody gets injured, they put forth the claim to their carrier. Their carrier will then represent them, offer the defense cost, and pay for that claim so that they are made whole. If they do not have the right amount of insurance, they could be held personally responsible, which kind of goes into the fact of, should somebody be a DBA, doing business as, or should they become an incorporation? Lisa, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, lots of businesses start out as DBAs, or what we call sole proprietors. And when you have a sole proprietorship, it's really you. There's no protection around you. So one of the beautiful things under New York law is that when you incorporate or form an LLC, there's an automatic shield around that owner's personal assets, and it protects somebody's home and their boat or their bank accounts in case there's a claim later.
So if there's a claim and you're a DBA or doing business as, and you have $300,000 worth of liability, and the lawsuits come up and the attorney fees come up, and it comes to $750,000, who's responsible for the difference?
That's a great question. So insurance policy limits are the most the insurance carrier is going to pay. And so if the amount that a jury finds you're responsible for is over that limit, that becomes your personal responsibility.
So they can garnish their wages, take their home, do things like that to make sure that the claimant is made whole, correct?
Depending on the circumstances, there are a lot of steps that can be taken once there's a judgment that's in excess of policy limits. That's why it's so important to have the insurance, because the attorney hired by the insurance carrier always looks to resolve the claim within those limits to protect the insured.
Now, here's a question. I'm pretty sure it doesn't happen that often, but say you go to a retail store or a restaurant, you fall, but you do not report it, you don't go to the hospital, or maybe you do and the doctor says you're fine. A month later, you're not fine. There's aches and pains wherever, you're back. Do you still have a claim? Can you still pursue that?
Yes, you do. What happens is, what I tell my clients is if somebody slips and falls and you're not sure if they're hurt, please report it to us and let us put the company on notice. I had a situation where a parent was walking into a child care center, and you know how the sidewalks are uneven? They tripped and fell. My client said, oh, no, they're not going to sue. I'm like, I really feel we need to put the company on notice. No, they're family. They've been with us forever. Those are the ones that usually will surprise you and put forth the claim because they see the commercials on TV, and it's like, slip and fall. We can get you $1 million. We can get you $500,000, all that. And people are like,
then their mind starts going. They're like,
right.
I slipped and fell. Like, I wonder what I can get from it.
Absolutely. Exactly. So we like to put the company on notice. And if nothing happens, nothing happens. But it's always good if you see something or if somebody says something to you, notify your insurance agent. That's what we're here for. That's our job. Our job is to advise you and to make sure that you're protected.
I feel like you almost have to be like, think about everyone's going to sue.
Correct.
If something happens, you can't be like, oh, they won't do it. They're nice people.
Right.
You never know. Like,
I just want to
aware that everyone might sue.
That's correct. I was walking out of a business a couple years ago, and it was a rainy day, and I had heels on. And you know those decorative mats that say welcome? They've got the little holes in it. Well, as I'm walking out, my hands were filled, and my heel got caught in the welcome mat. Now, I take a lot of dance, so I'm pretty agile on my feet. My heel got caught. I started to run out of my shoes. I happened to run into the street to catch my balance so that I wouldn't fall. Had a car been coming, I would have been hit. Now, Lisa, had I been hit, what is the responsibility to that business owner?
Right. Well, the business owner might very well have borne some responsibility because that mat was a dangerous condition and it was there, and they should have known better that people who come into their property might wear heels, might have something on the bottom of their feet that would get caught. And even though in your example, the car hit you, that would be just part of that scenario that the business owner could be liable for.
And the emotional distress on everybody. I did go in, I did tell the business owner, I went back and the mat was still there. So I'm thinking, you're setting yourself up for what could be emotional distress. And that sort of leads me into the next thing that Lisa and I talk often about, and that's umbrella coverage. Umbrella coverage is if you open up an umbrella, everything underneath it is protected. So all the liability for your business, your auto, that would be covered under this umbrella. And you can get limits of $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. And that helps when someone has a lawsuit. Now, my question to you, Lisa, is this. So many people say to me, if I don't have it, they won't sue me. If I have the umbrella, they're going to go after it. What are your thoughts on that?
That's really a false belief, because in the beginning of a lawsuit, ultimately the claimant doesn't know how much insurance or how many assets are there for the defendant, right? And so think about your example, Marcia, where you said ultimately there's 300 policy, but the damage end up being 700. That umbrella policy would cover the excess. It's such a small cost for that enhanced protection. I just think it's a false dynamic to think of it as inviting lawsuits. It certainly isn't.
Well, I think people that have had at one claim realize the importance of this coverage, and they'll never question it. They'll never balk at it. It's the people that say, no, it'll never happen to me. And you know, there's a good chance, it's not the lottery, there's a good chance if you have property, something will happen and somebody will get injured.
And that's one of my biggest takeaways. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's when it's going to happen.
Right.
And you need the proper protection.
Right, because insurance is here to give you peace of mind. What I explain to my clients is you need to have it before something happens,
Yes.
not after the fact.
Right.
After the fact, it's too late. You don't need to be stressed about it. You don't need to worry about it. It's there to bring you comfort and knowledge that you are protected. So it's important to work with an agent, and it's important to work with an attorney when you're dealing with contracts, which brings us up to this all-important Labor Law 240.
Okay, so I don't mean to cut you off, but we do have to go to our sports update and take our quick break. So I want to come back and we'll go right into Labor Law 240. I want to get into it and then take a break. So.
But if anybody has any questions, now's the time to think about them, so you can call in and ask.
Yes, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because if you have a question or comment, give Marcia a call. The telephone number here is 803-1520. Again, if you have an insurance or legal question, give us a call right now, 803-1520. Buffalo, don't go anywhere. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
The Buffalo Bills are now 2-0 in preseason after taking down the Carolina Panthers 27-14 on Friday night. Bills quarterback Josh Allen threw 9 for 11 with 102 passing yards, while Matt Barkley threw 8 for 10 with 110 passing yards. Running back LaShawn McCoy made his preseason debut against the Panthers. McCoy had a touchdown as well as 4 carries. The Bills' next preseason game will be on Friday night as they will travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. Kickoff is set for 8 o'clock, and you can catch the action on our sister station, WGR 550. Other news around the NFL, Raiders wide receiver Antonio Brown is nearing a return after suffering frostbite on his foot. Oakland head coach John Gruden confirmed that Brown will be returning to practice soon. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports that Josh Gordon may not play in the Patriots' third preseason game. Gordon was conditionally reinstated by the NFL, but still has some hurdles to clear before he can practice and play in games. To hockey, the Buffalo Sabres finally listened to their fans as they announced this week that they will wear royal blue jerseys once again starting in the 2020-2021 season. Buffalo hasn't worn royal blue as their primary jerseys since the 1995-1996 season. And over to baseball, the Bisons look to sweep the Durham Bulls in their 3-game series this afternoon. First pitch is at 1:05, and you can catch the game right here on ESPN 1520.
My name is Maggie Shea, and I am the treasurer for Infotech Western New York. Infotech is a professional organization promoting technology through networking, education, recognition, and career enrichment. Infotech provides technology resources, assists with workforce retention, and advises on regional technology infrastructure and governmental policies. Check out Infotech's upcoming events, resources, and become a member at www.infotechwny.com.
Hi, I'm Lauren Lewis with Staff Buffalo. Staff Buffalo is a certified woman-owned business enterprise. Staff Buffalo is a full-service professional staffing firm providing executive, direct hire, and contract solutions for employers in Buffalo, New York, and the surrounding areas. We specialize in providing our clients with the best candidates for each job, as well as personalized career management solutions to each candidate looking for new opportunities. We love to make people happy. Please check us out at staffbuffalo.com. Staff Buffalo, where Buffalo works.
Drinks at the bar, $34. A DWI.
Step out of the car, please.
$10,000. Using designated drivers of Buffalo to get you and your car home. Life-saving. No matter where you are, designated drivers of Buffalo will drive you and your car home safely. 713-7703. Save your job. Save your reputation. But most of all, save your life. Designated drivers of Buffalo. We drive you and your car home.
Welcome back to Western New York at Work on ESPN 1520. I'm Lauren Lewis in studio with my co-host Dale Martin, our producer Joe Marino, and this week in studio we have the first of our series within the insurance theme, and we have Marcia Brogan from the Marcia Brogan Agency, and she brought with her Lisa Coppola from the Coppola firm. And right before the break, we were talking a lot about insurance coverage, the importance of it, having umbrella policy. And then we're just about to go into talking about Labor Law 240.
Right. Thank
Right?
you. Thank you, Lauren. But before we get
welcome.
started, I just wanted to give everybody a little update on myself. My agency is Marcia Brogan Agency. I am located at 5001 Genesee Street. I am affiliated with Niagara National. And if you have any questions or you have anything regarding insurance that you need information on, you can reach me at marciabrogan.com.
So simple and straightforward, marciabrogan.com.
Thank
I
you.
love
Yes,
it.
it's very simple. Just remember my name, and it's
Yeah.
Marcia. A lot of
There.
people get that confused. So
Yeah.
marciabrogan.com.
Awesome.
So now I'd like to go into this Labor Law 240, which is something as a business owner affects you and can really do a number when it comes to your insurance. So I'm going to turn this over to Lisa so Lisa can explain to us what is Labor Law 240.
Well, Labor Law 240, Marcia, is a law in New York State. In fact, we're the only state that has a law like this.
What a surprise.
Right. And,
New York State, all the laws, all the taxes, bring them on.
and it is really an onerous law. It says that in a construction context, now whether that's construction, building a building or renovating a building, even some things you might not think of as construction, like replacing a sign, if a worker falls from a height or is injured by an improperly secured item that falls on her, she has absolute liability against the property owner, meaning she can recover all of her damages without any diminishment of damages if she herself was being careless.
Okay, so somebody's climbing a ladder and they're horsing around or they're not paying attention and they fall. Now, it's their fault because they weren't doing their due diligence of working properly. How does that affect it?
Right. So the property owner in that context likely will be liable or responsible under Labor Law 240 because an argument would be made that that ladder wasn't properly secured. So there's a small exception to this called sole proximate cause. That's a defense that if the accident was caused only by the injured party without anything else contributing, perhaps that injured party doesn't recover. But otherwise, there is always what we call absolute liability on the property owner.
Now, when you review contracts, what do you encourage your clients to put on when they're named as an additional insured?
Right, that's a great question. So we have always two parties in these situations. We have a property owner or a developer, and then we have contractors. Sometimes we have subcontractors. So we're always looking, if we're the one hiring the contractor, to say to the contractor, add my company as an additional insured, meaning your insurance contractor, your GL, Commercial General Liability Insurance, will step up and defend me first if there's a claim.
And what's happening out there is a lot of insurance companies are really concerned about this 240. The lawsuits could be enormous. They have very little control because they're insuring the contractor. The contractor, in turn, is hiring the subcontractors. So the contractor really can't go in and give the exact guidelines to the contractor, the subcontractor. So some insurance companies are saying, you know what, we're not going to offer that 240 coverage. We're going to exclude that coverage on your policy. So what are your thoughts about that, Lisa?
Well, my goodness, whether you're a contractor or a subcontractor and you're working with an insurance carrier, you better best be sure you've got Labor Law 240 coverage. That's where your insurance agent comes in. You have to be working with someone who educates you, like you do, Marcia, to make sure you're paying for the coverage you think you're getting. In other words, you're getting the benefit of your bargain. Because if Labor Law 240 liability is excluded from your policy, then just like we were talking about before, there's nothing standing there to help you with your defense, your attorney's fees, or ultimately a judgment that might be found against you.
And you would be held liable, and if you didn't have enough insurance, they could go after your corporation and take whatever assets are in the corporation. And the sad thing about it is you work really hard to build this business up. Why just give it away to somebody for an accident?
So how do you know? How do you know, like, how much insurance you need? How do you know, labor law 240? How do you know if you're working with the contractor, if they're insured enough?
Well, what you do is you work with your attorney to make sure that you understand the contract, and then you work with your agent to make sure that the coverages are there, what you need, and then you discuss with your client the various limits. What the costs are, how high can they go, and you make them understand. You can be insurance rich and poor at the same time. You can over-insure yourself. I had some businesses that had so much insurance they almost had to close their doors until we had to go in and revamp it. So you really have to be knowledgeable. You have to communicate with your attorney. You have to communicate with your agent to make sure that you've taken all the necessary steps. So if something were to happen, you knew you did your best due diligence to protect yourself. Do you agree, Lisa?
Yeah, what I would say, I think a big part of, Marcia, your initiative here is to help people understand the questions they need to ask.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right? And who to ask them of, right? Business people generally will have an attorney, they'll have an insurance agent. Those people have an obligation to be part of your team, to be part of your so-called kitchen cabinet. Know what questions to ask them. Don't just run into a new deal or a new project without thinking about the downside risks and making sure you minimize or eliminate them.
That's correct, because sometimes if you're not aware of it and a loss does happen, you can kick yourself, because if I just would have taken a few extra minutes and really thought about it, or if I would have made that phone call, or if I would have questioned it, because a lot of things come through, especially when you're a building owner and you're having renovations done. There's so many things on your plate that you sort of push that aside. It's intimidating. I don't understand it. Sure, I'll just sign it. Yeah, it's okay. Until a claim happens. And that's one of the worst times to figure out what you have after a claim occurs, because once the claim has, you're done. The company will not endorse the policy to cover that claim. So you really need to look ahead and think about things that could happen. And that's why you work with an insurance agent and an attorney to make sure that you're safe and you're protected.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, especially that whole team concept, for any one of our listeners that has a legal question and we haven't addressed it, we want to refer them over to Lisa. So Lisa, please provide your contact information.
Sure, absolutely. So the Coppola firm is a certified women business enterprise in New York State. We're located just outside of Buffalo in Amherst, New York, and our number is 839-9700.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you.
And that's one of the things that drew Lisa and I together, is we met at a networking event. And then we went through the certification together. Lisa's certified, I'm certified. So it really helps us work together as a team to understand. We refer a lot of people to each other because we understand how each other thinks and what we need to accomplish with having the client first.
Absolutely.
Which is so important. I think the client first, understanding the client's needs, where they're at within the scope of their business, making sure they're protected on all angles, the insurance protection, legal protection, to make sure that if anything does happen, they don't have to shut down their doors, like you mentioned earlier.
That's correct. And like I said, it's the insurance doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot, but you have to be aware. Being aware is key. Making sure that you look at all your exposures, and that's what your agent's there for. Look at your exposures, explain everything to you so that you understand and you can make an educated decision. If you decide, no, I don't want it, you know you've made that decision, but the worst thing is not knowing it and then having a claim.
Absolutely. Right. And it's so funny, Marcia, you and I as business owners, we know as educated as we are about these things, if we see an insurance policy that's 20 pages or a contract that's 30 pages, human nature, sometimes our eyes glaze over.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You're like, oh, geez, I can't read
that.
It can be intimidating
10 other
also.
things to do on my list.
Or if you want to sleep, pull it out and read.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's where that team comes in, because that tiny little minutia, that what we call legalese, could either help you or it could hurt you. And that's why it's important to have this team, your insurance agent, your attorney around your business to keep it healthy.
Well, one of the things that I said to Lisa is there's a list of companies that do not provide 240 coverage. And it was really surprising to Lisa that some companies do exclude it. So that's information that Lisa and I share. So when she does see a client bring forth their insurance policy and they're needing this, she can say to them, you better double check to make sure that this company does offer that coverage. And that's one of the nice things when Lisa and I work together. If I see something that I don't understand, I'll call Lisa. Lisa will explain it to me. in English so that I can then explain it to my client. And we make a great team that way. So that's why I was so excited that Lisa was going to be here with me today.
Well, we're certainly excited for both of you. Ladies, we're quickly coming close to the end of the show. Marcia, are there any special topics, particular topics we haven't touched on?
Well, there's several, but our next session is going to be about cyber liability. Then we're also going to be talking about what you need for the third session as a new business. And then the last one is very important. It's about directors and officers. And if you are on a board or you're volunteering, how you could be personally liable for things that happen to that board. So that is crucial for if anybody volunteers that sits on a board. And before we go, I just wanted to put out to the audience that if anyone has a question about coverage or about what insurance matters, they can reach me at marciabrogan.com. Lisa, do you have any last-minute suggestions or
and
topics?
Likewise, if anyone has questions about their contracts, whether they're homeowners or business owners, the Coppola firm is always willing to help, and we're at 839-9700.
Awesome.
Thank you, Lisa.
I think it's so important, like we've mentioned it a couple times, you have to prepare, you have to educate yourselves, and to really plan to make sure you're covered from an insurance standpoint, from a legal perspective, and as business owners, a lot of times you do have a lot of things on your plate.
You're right.
A lot of different things to consider, so you want to make sure you have the right team in place who has your best interest at hand.
That's correct.
I think, thank you guys both for coming on this morning. I think it was a great show to
Thank you.
really
Thank you for having us.
educate all of us about the importance of insurance coverage, and so you don't have to go through a legal component.
Such a pleasure to be here.
It
Thank
was.
you,
And if
yeah.
anybody wasn't able to call in, they can just reach us via email or phone number. So we're here to help you and answer insurance that matters.
Okay, and once again, that telephone number at your office.
My office is 716-684-6000 or marciabrogan.com.
Buffalo, you've been listening to Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Lauren Lewis. And now, once a month, Marcia Brogan. So tune in next month because she has another exciting topic. Have a great day, a beautiful Sunday, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Western New York at Work, sponsored in part by Lotempio PC Law Group, complete counsel meeting your lifetime legal needs, Dale Martin, Liberty Cab, Accessium Group, your most trusted IT service provider, and other successful business partners.